Unafraid Show, Reister or Wrong. It's your boy George Reister here per the usual. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your energy, and thank you for joining the Unafraid Show. And I always appreciate it where we bring the truth, the way, and the light. Because where the truth is king, power is the only thing that matters. Well, the truth is the power. But we got a couple great things on track for you guys today. We're talking about, number one, we're going to start with the quote of the day. That's the way we're going to start the Unafraid Show on a daily basis now. Number two, we lost Kanye. We lost Kanye West, but we got Donald Glover in return. And I don't think that's a bad trade. I don't think that's a bad trade at all. We're going to talk about that and how Kanye is 2018's version of Michael Jackson. Fourth thing is substituting your beef burger, because I'm a carnivore. Substituting your beef burger for Beyond Meat acceptable man behavior, because this is Man Monday, so we talk about all the man things. Number 5, 1,000 Ways to Die. And number 6, Darvish is the Halle Berry or J-Lo in your life. You guys, please make sure you swipe up, share the feed, like the feed, tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. But we're going to start with the quote of the day today. I'm reading this book called Mastery by the dude who wrote 48 Laws of Power. And I read a quote today. It said, if you allow yourself to learn who you really are by paying attention to that voice and force within you, then you become what you were fated to become, an individual, a master. If you allow yourself to learn who you really are by paying attention to that voice and force within you, then you become what you were fated to become, an individual, a master. So that's where we'll start today. At the quote, we're not going to dive into it, just read it to you. First thing, we lost Kanye. We lost Kanye West, but we got Donald Glover in return. That's not a bad trade. I'm not mad at this at all, because if you have seen his video, This is America, it is absolutely genius. There's so many references in it to things that have happened out in the world, and it just provides thinking. Like, this is free thinking. This is free thinking, because we talked about last week that every thought that you have, just because you have thoughts does not make them free or independent or smart or anything in that way. That's not the way it works. Just because you have thoughts doesn't make them good thoughts. And we talked about that as it related to Kanye West. And then I was thinking about Donald Glover, watching the This is America video. I was like, wow, like this dude still has the courage, the ability, the power to be willing to stand creatively all by himself with the show Atlanta, with doing things differently than they are normally done. So he has that courage. That's independent thinking. That's where independently thinking is. Because when you look at what Kanye's doing, he's actually this isn't independent thought. He's just aligning himself with different people. Just aligning himself with different people. Because I'll tell you this, it's a tricky road. Like, if you come from, like, it's a tricky road moving up to the east side like the Jeffersons, but then staying connected to the real things in the real world around you. And that's what Kanye has not been able to do. And I'm not even going to fault him for that, because it's super easy for us to judge it, first of all. But it's super easy for us to, well, for anybody to get caught up in their bubble, in the situation, and not realize that you are isolated from the real world and from real world problems, and to get into that mentality of, oh, wait, hold up. The world is like, seeing the world, when you are treated special, seeing the world as an isolated individual, as opposed to a member of a community. Because, like, that's fine if you're a white person. Like, it's fine. But because this is your community, like, this is the normal place that you live out in the world. Like, it's fine. It's easier to do that there. But even then, like, you still have to have your community of people around you, whether it's friends, family, no matter whether you're white, black, green, Asian, or Haitian. It doesn't matter. You have to have that community around you that keeps you grounded and down to earth. Because it's super easy to get caught up and not understand that, okay, I'm going to move up to the east side, not stay in my impoverished crime neighborhood, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. Somebody just said it's a lot easier for Glover to do what he did than Kanye. See, there's a total difference between what Donald Glover did and what Kanye did. So Kanye is just, he has aligned himself in a different way with different people. And remember that the people that he's aligning himself with don't really care about Kanye. These are the same people that when he came out and said that George Bush doesn't care about black people, that they turned on him, that they were like, no. Because people always, like, you have to understand, we talked about this a few weeks ago, the difference between an ally and a friend. An ally is somebody who is in your corner about a particular subject. A friend is somebody who has your back about whatever is going on in your life. That's the difference between a friend and an ally. Donald Trump and people who support Kanye now, who didn't support him at all at first, those are allies because he's repeating their message. That's the difference in what Donald Glover did and the power and the courageousness and what he did with the This Is America video, as opposed to what Kanye did repeating the rhetoric. Because that's where they fool you. Like, it's like, oh, this is independent thinking. This is it. No. It's it's the silence. When you stop realizing that you are attached to everybody and that you aren't solo, that's when there's a problem, because you get isolated. Because it's super easy if you're rich, famous, to not see racism, to not see like the problems that people face on an everyday basis when you don't face those things. So it's very easy when you're married to Kim Kardashian and all that for you to say, oh, well, listen, we're all equal out here. I don't have these same problems. Nobody else should have these same problems. And that's where Kanye West has turned into Michael Jackson. Kanye West has turned into Michael Jackson. Michael Wood said, Childish Gambino is profiting off the subject. If anything, Kanye is losing money on his stance. Yes, he's losing money on his stance. Like, this is, of course he's losing money on his stance. Like, because it is an unpopular stance amongst the people who, and it's an ignorant stance amongst the people who have supported you from the beginning. That's why he's losing money. So I get that you side with somebody who has something to lose, because yes, that does require bravery and all that. However, you have to remember the people that have your back and the people that are with you in this same fight. Because it's just like in Jay-Z's new album 444. He's like, he has the story, the song, The Story of OJ, where he goes, I'm not black, I'm OJ. Okay. And that's where Kanye's at right now. He doesn't realize that the same people that turned his back on him the first time will turn their back on him again. They will. It's just they're aligning with him because he's agreeing with them at the moment. They're not his friends, they're his allies. So you got to understand the difference between a friend and an ally. Next thing. I do agree with Kanye in terms of that we can't blame anybody else for our lack of success. That you can't blame anybody else for your lack of success. But you do have to realize that this is where he's lost it. is that you do have to realize that the field is not level, and that certain things are more difficult for certain people in certain socioeconomic and cultural differesences. It just is. And I read a piece today from Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'll tweet it out. Sorry, I screwed up his name. But the quote was absolutely phenomenal, and I thought it was great. He said, "It's often easier to choose the path of self-destruction when you don't consider who you are taking along for the ride. To die drunk in the street if you experience the deprivation as your own and not the deprivation of family, friends, and community. And maybe this too is naive, but I wonder how different Kanye's life might have been if Michael Jackson's life would have been if he knew how his truly black face was tied to all of our black faces. If he knew that when he destroyed himself, he was destroying part of us too. I wonder if his life would have been different, would have been longer. And so for Kanye, I wonder what he might be if he could find himself back into connection, back to that place where he sought out disconnection of freedom, of I, not we, but a black freedom that called him back to the bone, the drum, back to Chicago, back to home." And I was like, damn, like that's deep, like that's crazy, because it's easy when you don't consider, when you look at your life as an isolated event and not how it affects your wife, your kids, your family, your mom, your dad, the people that you work with, the people that say that they love you. Like, it's real easy to do different things when you're not considering the totality of everything. And when you misconstrue friends and allies. Because it's super easy to be rich and famous and say, oh, there's equality out in the world, and say that you guys need to change your thinking over there. When you have isolated yourself and changed your thinking about allowed your thinking to be manipulated about these topics, that way you can be a free thinker. But the kind of freedom that you're looking for is freedom without consequences. Freedom of criticism, freedom to be proud and ignorant. I mean, freedom to profit off people in one moment and then abandon them in the next. Because when you look at Kanye, he's had that full circle. He came up on one side, and now he switched over because that side suits him best right now. Just saying. Next thing that we have up today is a slightly different man type topic, because this is a Man Monday. The topic is, so I was reading this article because I'm a carnivore, and I had a question about subbing your beef burger for a Beyond Meat. Feels very un-American to me, because we are a nation who eats beef. We are a nation, we are turning into a soy latte country, and that's not bad. But I want to know, is this un-American and unmanlike to sub my beef burger, or even my turkey burger if I feel like going that way, for a plant-based burger patty? Because there's something new that's going on. Like when you go into the store now, you go into the store, if you want something vegan, you want something vegetarian, some type of a specialty meat, like specialty product, like there are aisles designed for that. There are aisles designed for it, where you can go get tofurkey, you can go get your soy, whatever. What is? I was like, okay, cool. Like that's where people normally go. But the people who own Beyond Meat, which are Bill Gates, Leonardo DiCaprio, and a few other people, they are the primary backers of this company, and they have decided that they don't want their Beyond Meat in these specialty sections. They want it with the rest of the meat. And I thought that was very interesting because as a man with kids, who's trying to get his kids to choose a more healthy lifestyle in terms of things that we eat, that food is supposed to be fuel, that it should taste good, but we also need to find substitutes that give great flavor and that taste good but won't kill you long term. Like, that's my goal as a dad for my kids, to give them to eat great, to get great food, but then at the same time, like, won't kill you long term. So, and I don't think that that's necessarily the vegetarian lifestyle. However, I do, when it's on a different aisle, it looks at it like this. I'll get your comment, Tony, in a second. Is that when you look at vegan, vegetarian, to me, if somebody was like, George, let's go to a vegetarian restaurant, I'm like, I don't know. Feels kind of weak. Feels like I'm not going to get nourished and fed well. Even though I've been to some good ones, it still feels like the food penalty box. It does. But the other thing I was going to say about this is that I think that it's great that they're going to put it on the same aisle, simply because we don't consider how many meals that we eat without meat. Like, if you go have spaghetti with marinara sauce, you ate a potentially vegan or vegetarian meal. Smoothies. Like, there's a lot of things that you eat that are vegan and vegetarian, but it doesn't feel like the food penalty box just because you didn't get it from that type of place or off that shelf. Tony sent in a comment. He said, soy is full of estrogen, which in turn can cause man boobs. My milk self can't do it behind the 8 ball on this. I'm going to tell you this. I am not the dude to tell you to go eat soy everything, because I have a theory. I have that was told to me by a friend, and I didn't necessarily believe it at first. Talking about excessive estrogen in soy. And also, when you look at, like, men's testosterone levels are significantly down, their estrogen levels are higher. And he said it was because of the water. Like my friend is like, yo, I think it's because of the water from everything from things like women's birth control pills that are, like, recycled in the water and all of that. So I'm not going to get into big whole conspiracy theory, but you got to be careful about what you eat. But I just wanted to talk about the food penalty box, about how it's very difficult to try to teach your kids to eat better, to do better in this day and age in 2018. It just is, especially if you're like me and you have a blended family. Because we've got a blended family. And so if those things aren't reinforced on the other side of the street, makes it a lot more difficult to get where you're trying to go in this food area with the kids. So, moral of the story, keep your kids out of the food penalty box. And just try to make them not look at it like the food penalty box, and just feed them in a way that won't kill them. It doesn't kill them. I mean, and I'm going to try to wrap my mind around not having a soy burger, but that it's okay to sub my beef for Beyond Meat. And I'll just get over it as an American. I'll just get over it. Next thing up, 1,000 Ways to Die. And how this came up today was I was reading an article earlier this morning, and it got me to thinking about one of my biggest fears in life. One of my biggest fears in life is dying doing something dumb. That's one of my biggest fears. Like, being the person who dies, and then people have to explain, like, yeah, all right, okay, so George died, he was doing something stupid. I don't even want to admit it. Because I've always been the person who walks up to the line, like the line of doing something stupid, right? The line of doing something that can kill you and that is reckless and all that. I'm the guy who walks up to the line, won't fully cross it, but I'll, like, hang over and dangle my foot over the edge of the cliff. But I'm not base jumping. And then I started looking at this article I was reading earlier today. I was like, damn, they actually might be smarter, the base jumpers, because at least they jump with a parachute. I'm over here dangling over the edge. Because the last thing I want somebody to ask is, damn, how did George die? How did George die? Because I like to go jet skiing, like to go snowboarding. And here are the ways that I learned that you could die today. Speaking of that being healthy and all of that stuff, is chia seeds. I found out that you can die from eating chia seeds. That's why I don't even eat them. I don't trust them because it's one of these new health fads that comes out every 6 months, so-called superfood, avocados, acai berries, noni juice, fish oil, whatever it is. Nope, I don't trust them, especially chia seeds because they absorb 27 times their weight in water. 27 times their weight in water. So this dude dies. He got chia seeds stuck. They like some kind of way stuck to his throat when he was swallowing. And then they swole up and he couldn't breathe. Couldn't swallow, couldn't breathe because the chia seeds stuck in his throat. Nope, won't be eating chia seeds. Won't feed chia seeds to my kids. Another way you can die, black licorice. Black licorice. I don't want to die from that. You can die from eating too much black licorice. Those Carolina, an awful way to die that I think that is just stupid is, you know, those Carolina Reaper peppers where they do like, it used to be the Ghost Pepper Challenge, but now it's the Carolina Reaper Challenge. Like this pepper has 1.5 million Scoville rating. Jalapenos have like 2,000 or 5,000. This thing has 1.5 million. And people go up there and eat it. And I don't want to be that guy who dies from doing it. Because my kids tried to get me to do it. And I almost did it. But I was like, you know what? What if I mess around and like my body just goes into shock from this heat and I die? Like, how are my kids going to be like, how are they going to explain? You know, they're all sad. Like, oh, your dad died. How'd your dad die? He had a pepper. We dared him to eat a hot pepper, and he did, and he died. I mean, damn, I'm not going to be that guy. Because I'm going to tell you this. One of the ways that I almost died, well, that I thought I was going to die, one time I'm going to tell you guys an intimate personal story. I was in college, and there was a girl that I liked. I liked her a fair amount. We used to hang out a lot. And she turned out to, I didn't know at this point in time, but she turned out to be dating another girl at the time, but I didn't know it. Like, I thought she was straight. Well, turns out she was bisexual or pansexual or whatever sexual now. And so I go over her house and she's like, yo, this is what, 2002? And like, hey, let's try ecstasy. I was like, I don't know about this. Because I've never been the person to really take drugs like that or take drugs, period. Because I don't like the way it makes me feel, gives me anxiety, all of that. So I was like, I don't know. So I do the thing. So I take it, try it. But before I take it, instead of taking a whole pill, I cut it in half. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take half the pill. Because the entire thing I was thinking the entire time before I took it, I was like, listen, George, just please don't die. Like, imagine me dying right now. Because I had seen horror stories from people getting bad drugs, limb bias, all this. I'm in college playing football. I'm like, this is not a good idea. But I want to do this. I want to see what happens. Because everybody is raving about how great this is. I'm just going to try it this one time. I pop half the pill. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, yo, if I die, like, what are they going to tell my mom? Yeah, George died. He tried ecstasy. His body didn't react to it. It went into convulsion and he just died. I didn't want that, but I still did it anyway. And then turns out later I took the other half of the pill. Bunch of crazy other stuff happened, but I was just telling you a quick story. Last thing we got up for today is is Darvish. Darvish is the pitcher for the Cubs. And I know most of you don't know who he is. Used to play for the Rangers, used to play for the Dodgers. Regular season, always fantastic. Darvish is always fantastic typically always fantastic during the regular season. And then he goes to go stink in the playoffs. And that reminded me of something. That reminded me of people in my life, in your life, that are the Darvish of your life. They look great on paper. Everything looks great. And you pay them 5 years, $126 million. And then you realize that this is not a long-term decision. It's like dating Halle Berry. It's like dating J-Lo. Like, these are good short-term decisions, but long-term, it'll come back and bite you in the ass. And when people show you who they are, you have to listen. It's hard because sometimes you don't want to admit it, but you got to realize who they are and really be honest about it. You guys, thank you guys for joining me today on the Unafraid Show. George Reister here. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy. Please make sure that you tell a friend about the Unafraid Show and the greatness that goes on here. This was a Man Monday. We're still where we're not talking about sports. We're talking about all the other things that matter to us in life. We thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And don't forget, if you have any questions, comments, send them in. unafraidshow@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. Catch you guys tomorrow with my man Mitch Marchand, who is a writer on Marlin, an actor, fabulous comedian, and everything else. Peace out. Catch you guys tomorrow.